Sawadee Kap! Welcome to Break Time with Monte. Today's story, the U.S. government shuts down. Will it save any money? Relations between U.S. congressional Republicans and Democrats are so bad that the country's government has effectively shut down. What will happen now? Now, an 11 a.m. update to the U.S. government shuts down. It is now past midnight in Washington, D.C., and the new fiscal year has begun. And since the U.S. Congress has failed to come up with last-minute agreement to fund the U.S. government, many government services will start the process of shutting down. If you are one of the 800,000 U.S. federal government employees, you are supposed to go to work tomorrow morning, where you will find out if you are considered essential or not essential. If you are not considered essential, you are to clear up any work, cancel any appointments, and then leave by noon. You will return to work when the federal government has money to pay you. There will soon be a lot of pressure on members of Congress to put aside their differences and get the government back up and running. Republican members who have tried to use the funding issue to stop President Obama's health care plan will feel the most heat from angry U.S. citizens. There are already signs of uneasiness among moderate Republicans. Most experts are saying the shutdown is unlikely to last long and the health care demand will be dropped, at least temporarily. Last-minute efforts to avoid a government shutdown are being likened to a game of ping pong. The Republican-dominated House of Representatives passed a bill to fund the government if funding for the president's health care plan is delayed a year. The Democrat-dominated Senate rejects that condition and demands a clean funding bill. President Obama is complaining that the Republicans are using the funding crisis to extract ransom. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking. 9 a.m. Thai time is 10 p.m. Washington. The shutdown process begins at midnight or 11 a.m. our time. Now, the earlier part of the story, U.S. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and Speaker of the House Republican John Boehner, to put mildly, they do not agree on how the U.S. government should spend its money. If you think the relationship between Thailand's two biggest political parties, the Pheu Thai and the Democrats, is bad, it is nothing to compare to the bad blood between the Republicans and Democrats in the United States. Things are so bad, the country's government might start shutting down about noon our time tomorrow. Here's the problem. The U.S. government runs on a fiscal year which begins October 1st. Under the U.S. Constitution, the government can only spend money under laws passed by Congress. So far, the Congress, the Senate, and the House of Representatives has failed to pass such laws, largely because of a dispute over President Obama's health care plan that was passed into law in 2010. If the deadline passes, the government won't shut down completely. Essential services will continue. Air traffic controllers will continue to help airlines take off and land safely. The mail will be delivered. The federal courts will continue to operate, and presumably taxes will continue to be collected. If you need a visa to visit the United States, that service will continue because your fees pay for it. The U.S. military will continue on the job, but their paychecks may be delayed. However, many of the military civilian workers would be furloughed until a spending bill is passed by Congress and signed by the President. Non-essential federal workers would also be furloughed, and it is not clear if they would eventually be paid for the time they were forced to be out of work. Many U.S. government services will have to be shut down temporarily. National parks will close, and even NASA will have to furlough most of its workers, leaving enough essential workers to keep the International Space Station functioning, where 2 Americans and 4 others are currently deployed. How long could a shutdown last? Most of Congress will quickly come under pressure to get the government back in business, ending a shutdown that U.S. citizens clearly oppose. Altogether, there have been 17 shutdowns since 1977, most lasting from a few hours to a few days. The longest shutdown was 21 days. Now, for today's vocabulary. Air traffic controller. Air traffic controller. Appointment. Appointment. Avoid. Avoid. Bad blood. Bad blood. Bill. Bill. Citizen. Citizen. Civilian. Civilian. Condition. Condition. Consider. Consider. Constitution. Constitution. Court. Court. Crisis. Crisis. Currently. Currently. Deadline. Deadline. Delay. Delay. Demand. Demand. Deploy. Deploy. Dispute. Dispute. Dominate. Dominate. Essential. Essential. Expert. Expert. Extract. Extract. Federal. Federal. Fee. Fee. Fiscal year. Fiscal year. Function. Function. Fund. Fund. Furlough. Furlough. Meanwhile. Meanwhile. Mildly. Mildly. Military. Military. Moderate. Moderate. Operate. Operate. Oppose. Oppose. Pressure. Pressure. Presumably. Presumably. Process. Process. Ransom. Ransom. Reject. Reject. Relationship. Relationship. Senator. Senator. Sour relations. Sour relations. Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House. Temporarily. 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 Uneasiness. Uneasiness. That's today's lesson, and thanks for listening to Break Time with Monte. I'll see you again next time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.